Then also on that tour, I got shot in the head as well by a sniper, and we were just clearing south of the checkpoint. You had your snipers and your anti-tanks. So the anti-tanks were back on the checkpoint because they have all like the anti-tank missiles. Then you have the snipers up there as well because they're basically overlooking. And then we was on another high vantage point overlooking, and I was behind the machine gun, so literally just my head above it. I only thought about this afterwards, but just before I'd been shot, I heard a above my head, which is obviously a round. And what he's doing he's obviously shooting, firing at something behind me or near me, and he's looking at where Splash is. And they're basically what they do, they call it, they're zeroing in, and then he would have aimed on me. Next shot, dropped me. So good shot, very good shot. The helmet, the way the helmet's made, obviously it's like Kevlar and it's folded, and where it's there, it's in a fold, so it's in the thick bit of the helmet. Either side of that fold, it had gone straight through. And I just thought it ricocheted. And then when I got back and I had a look, the actual round was still in the helmet. Someone would say, go and run a marathon tomorrow. Yeah, no problem. You just go smash it out. You knew you was physically fit, mentally tough. You'd say, fuck it, I'll do it with weight on my back. Like I used to do a lot of charity work. I've run the 10K with a fridge on my back. I did it in like 55 minutes. And that was when I was in the army because I knew I had the mental resilience to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. If I tried it now, I'd probably break my back and be like,
Today we've got Iain Maynard.
Yes, hello.
A local guy from Lincoln, and you've got quite this story, haven't you?
Yeah,
so,
well, a few stories, I think.
So
yeah.
let's take it all the way back. Before you got into the army, before you did anything like that, what did you do when you was younger? How was you?
I was just like any normal kid. I was a bit of a shit, to be fair. We moved, we moved from London. My dad was in the RAF and my mum was. So we moved from London up to here when I was 9. And obviously when we came here, there was no university. There was none of that. So when I first came to Lincoln, there was no really black people in Lincoln. It was a bit strange coming from London.
When was that?
1993, 94? Yeah, there's 9. Just before I was 9.
Yeah, I wasn't even
born. No, you weren't even born. Yeah. So there was no university or anything like that. And I remember distinctly one day, I walked out of, the Ritz Weatherspoons.
Yeah.
It used to be a cinema. We walked out of the cinema and we walked up the high street and people just looking at me. I said to my dad, why are they looking at me? And he's like, because you're black. And I was just like, what? So yeah, I moved from London to Lincoln. And it was a bit of a weird one for me to start with. And then I went to Branston School. It was all right.
Is that the area you was from?
Yeah, that's where we moved to. Like, what was it? RF Waddington. Then we moved to Hayington.
Yeah.
So I went to Branston School, and it was like just a normal school. Bit of trouble, fighting, messing about, just same old stuff, really.
It is weird, but it obviously throws you out your deep end, doesn't it? And you sort of have to adjust these different things when it's like that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because I was quite lucky at this school. I know you talk about race and stuff; it's quite prevalent at the minute in the media and stuff with other things, but it was a bit weird, like going to a school. There was a couple of other black families in the school, so we all sort of stick together. But then people get used to you and stuff, and it was sound, really. It was no different from anyone else, I wouldn't think.
It is strange, like you do sometimes feel like Lincoln is sort of behind in a way in the cultural sort of things, because even I went down to, I flew from Luton, and you see so many different cultures, and you think Lincoln is very, very just predominantly white.
Yeah, it is.
That's just
there's a lot more now, obviously, with the universities help massively with everything, like not just even like race and culture, just like fashion, different shops, food, retail, all that sort of stuff. Like it's got a lot better, but it used to be so far behind.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So then, from being a youngster, did you know from a young age what you wanted to do with your life, or did you sort of hit and go as it?
Yeah. So I was at school. I was a bit of a deadhead towards the last few years. Used to smoke a lot of weed and stuff. Didn't really go in my last year. Tried college. Didn't like it the first year. Tried again. But then we used to just skive all the time. Never used to go. Just used to go to my mate's house.
Yeah.
And so, but they were all mates from school. Do you know what I mean? So we used to just knock around. And obviously you meet other people from college. And it was, I wouldn't say I was aspiring to be anything. It was more drifting away out of like education and stuff. Didn't know what I wanted to do really.
What about college then? What did you do in college?
It was engineering. So I went to do an apprenticeship with, back then it was Alstom before Siemens.
Oh yeah.
I was going to do that. Dropped out of that the first year, and then second year I went into some other engine. I can't remember what it was now. It was more just like an engineering at college. So it wasn't an apprenticeship, and I think I must have done a week of that as well. But obviously my parents still thinking I was going.
Yeah.
But So
what's the reason for not enjoying it then?
I don't know. I just sort of
didn't engage it.
No, I didn't know. Like I was never good at school anyway. With exams and stuff like that, and actually learning. I was always very much, if it's physically done, I was good at
I'm
it.
the same.
But
Learn-
like
learning
mentally,
learning by doing.
yeah, I can't. Like if someone's talking to me about it, I'm
Pen
like,
and
just
paper,
just
no,
show
no,
me,
no,
just
yeah.
show me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I just didn't enjoy it. Like anything to do with sports, stuff like that, I loved. But like pen and paper, I just switched off straight away.
So was it then that did you sort of get pushed towards going down the military route, or did you think in your head, this is what I'm going to have to do?
No,
did it
well,
appeal?
again, like I didn't. This is a rare story in itself. So we used to, when we was at college, we used to go to, I don't know what it's called now. Is it called the Cheltenham opposite Varsity? It used to be called Shots.
The what? Do you know mailbox near mailbox?
Yeah, mailbox. Sorry, opposite there.
William Foster.
Yeah, William Foster.
Yeah,
It used to be
yeah.
called Shots. So you
Yeah.
used to have pool tables. We used to go there when we was at college. And there was one day we were sort of sat there, and two lads from the year above me in school came in, and they had nice clothes on. Like, well, back then it was like Sonetti and Firetrap, just stuff, but they were looking nice, fresh. They were standing really tall, and I was like, what? I was like, where have you two been? Like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, we're in the army now. And I was like, what? I never even really thought about it, you know what I mean? So they told me about it. They were in the infantry and the Grenadier Guards. So I was a bit like, right, okay. So I thought about that, and then it just sort of drifted out my head again. Do you know what I mean? I just started like trying to go to college. I'd show up, do a lesson, and skype the rest of the day. And then we used to go down. Our mates, who was at college, he was living in a house share on Portland Street. And I remember once we were just there, and I left there one day, and I was walking back up the high street, and just walked past the recruiting office. And obviously, I've been skiving all day, just dossing with my mates. And I looked in, and I thought, do you know what? I've got to get out of here. And I just saw the army recruiting office, walked in and signed up. I was 17 years old.
What was that? What was that procedure like? Then? What happens when you walk in there?
So I walked in, and I knew the guy. His son was in the year above me at school. Sergeant Cook, his name was. And he was like, look here, and if you're serious, come back tomorrow in the morning, first thing, because then I know you're serious, and then we'll talk. So I showed up. I was there before it opened, stood outside, went in and spoke to him. And then from there, I had to go and do 2 or 3 days selection. It's at Lichfield. So bearing in mind, my mum didn't know at this point, or my dad. So I
Just think you're going to college.
they just think I'm going to college. I said I'm staying at my mate's house. I went down there for 2 days. They give you all your train passes. So I went to the recruiting office, got the train down there, did a 2-day course. It's like all your fitness tests, like aptitude tests, all that sort of stuff.
Difficult.
I didn't find it difficult because it was all stuff to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a little bit of written test, but it was mostly like they were testing you on how you was in the team and stuff like that. So I loved it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were enjoying it then, weren't you?
Yeah, the fitness and stuff. So passed all that, and I got a phone call on my mobile back then because you didn't have like emails and that on your phones or anything. Just saying, oh, can you come in? So I went in. He said, look, you've passed all your tests. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to join the infantry. It's obviously frontline soldier. But he's like, no, you've passed all the tests. You can do whatever you want, all the way up to police sergeant, engineer. You can do any of that. And I was like, no, I want to be in the infantry. I want to be proper, like in the army properly. Yeah. And he's like, right, okay. He says, right, you've got to swear your oath of allegiance to the Queen. But because you're 17, you need to bring your mum. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I've not told her any of this.
It's got to know at some point though.
Yeah.
Mum, I'm just
Well,
at
that's
war.
it, yeah. So I went home and I was like, oh, Mum, I joined the army. And she's like, what the fuck? Like kicking off and that. Because she's in the RAF. It's 2002. The World Trade Centers has just happened. So it's all kicking off. And she's like, you're going in the infantry? And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you realise what you're signing up? And I said, yeah, but I didn't. And she was like, right, okay. So then went in, did it. And then in February 2003, started my basic training up at Catterick at 17 years old.
And is that a difficult run or?
Yeah, 6 months up there. So you go in, obviously, it's like they shave your heads and all that sort of stuff. Everyone gets a skinhead. You took your phones off you for 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. And they just sort of, I don't want to make it sound like it's a bloody concentration camp, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they break you down, you know what I mean? They're trying to weed out all the weak people.
One of our good mates, Mike, he's in the Marines and he's told us all about it. It sounds like a horrible process.
And back then, like in 2002, there was no camera phones, there was none of that. So it was pretty ruthless at times. You got, but then we started with, in training, I think there was like 60 blokes and we passed out of 18. So you got properly weaned down. It was like, got rid of a lot of people, but you need it.
You don't want dead weight.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Because I speak to my mates now that are in the army and they're like, there's so many sort of, I won't say deadheads, but so many soft people in there now, and they wouldn't want to go to Afghanistan and Iraq with them like we used to because they just wouldn't be able to cope with it. Do you know what I mean?
So then after that, then how long after will you be deployed?
So we finished training, and you go down, because I was in the Guards, Grenadier Guards. You go down to London, so that was like an event in itself, because obviously you just finished training and get your train down. And I remember just pulling up at King's Cross, and I think I got off at Piccadilly Circus. Didn't have a clue where I was going. I just remember looking around at like 18, like, oh my god, like just in this big city. You go to your barracks, and then I think I spent about 8 months there in the ceremonial stuff, you know, like standing outside the palaces
With
and
the-
stuff. Yeah, with
the-
a hat on and
yeah.
the tunics. And then you go to your battalion after that. And then I think 6-7 months after that, we deployed to Bosnia, went to Bosnia.
Was that the Bosnian Civil War, is it?
That was all finished then. So it was more like a peacekeeping. So he's doing sort of patrols, checkpoints for like illegal activities like weapon smuggling, drugs, all that sort of stuff. Because it's quite it's like the Wild Wild West over there.
They're heavy with the guns there, aren't they, as well? Because
yeah.
I think after the World War, it's like there in Albania had the majority of all the weapons that were left over.
Well, we went to some places and you wouldn't believe it, like
warehouses of,
you know, like the engine shed in Lincoln, massive.
Mm.
It was like 2 sides of that, and it was just stacked to the rafters full of ammunition, like anti-tank missiles, mines, everything.
Crazy.
And they were taking loads of stuff out, and we were just like, "Where's that going?" It's like, we can't tell you. We couldn't stop them because it was all through the government and that. We was just like, okay, but you know, it's going on the black market,
getting sold off.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
And then, so you were there for how long?
That was a 6-month tour.
And then afterwards, do you then come back?
Yeah, we came back for a bit, and then you have like your downtime, and then you're back to it, like exercise, training, just normal like life.
So were you earning money at this point then through it then?
Yeah. You're getting paid and stuff. It's not the best when you start.
Do you get paid thwith the trade when you're doing the training, or?
But that's like pittance. You don't get a lot.
But obviously, you're not spending whilst you're doing it.
No, whilst you're away, you're not. No, yeah.
So say you like
save a bit, yeah.
6 on, 6 off. You're essentially almost doubling what you're getting.
Yeah,
You've only got half as long to spend it.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't too bad, but like you'd come back and you just go on a smash, like big time. We used to just go on holidays. Like I think we went to Malia for a week, a load of us, just stuff like that. Yeah,
that's what it's about, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's with the lads. It's great.
So then, when you gone back after there, what's next?
So we came back from Bosnia, and then Iraq had kicked off. We was in Bosnia 2003, 2004. I think we had a year or so where we didn't do anything. Then 2006 went to Iraq, and
that one was booting off.
Yeah, Iraq wasn't too bad either. We was in Baghdad, so it was like ropey in Baghdad, and we had like crap vehicles. We had all the old like Northern Ireland snatch wagons, so they're just rubbish. Like, but that was like just IED central. You used to see the Americans getting blown up a lot over there and stuff. I was doing a lot of patrols. Did a few things with like special forces over there, just like patrol securing areas, and they'd go in, do an up, and then we'd leave, sort of thing. I think that was a 5-6 month tour as well. And then we did half in Baghdad and half back in Basra on the prison. So it was like basically prison guards to all the terrorists. So that was a bit
iffy.
Yeah.
Was there people trying to sort of get them out?
No, because it was right in the middle of the place. But to be fair, they used to have visits. And they used to try and sneak out on visits sometimes. And used to like have to search everyone because they get dressed up as women. Because in the visits they had like little areas, and they'd all sit down. They'd bring their own food in and stuff, and they'd eat the food. And then sometimes they'd try and smuggle them out and stuff, so you'd catch them. And yeah, it was a bit. It's just so like when I think back at it now, it's just so rare some of the stuff that we used to do. Yeah,
and it all happened so quickly as well.
Yeah. Like at the time, you think you're a man. I think I was 21 at that point. So you think you're a man, but 21. So you're not a man at 21, are you? You're still growing up. Like I was, like you put in situations and you think, fucking hell, how the hell did I do that sort of thing? Do you know what I mean?
You bet you get incredibly desensitized to the things that's going on as well. Because obviously, because it's so normal, you actually don't really comprehend what's actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. That tour wasn't too bad in 2006, but then when we went to Afghanistan in 2007, I say that was a tour when it was like sort of like literally full on war. We was fighting every day, sort of thing.
What was that? The next one? Sorry.
The next tour of Afghanistan, yeah.
So what? Give us, have you got anything like?
Well, from that tour, that first tour, there was a few things that happened. Obviously, I was a section commander then, so I was 22.
Is that up
yeah, so I was in charge of. So in your platoons, you've got like between 30 and 35 people, and then you'll have 3 sections. Each section's got 8 people. Then you have your platoon like headquarters, which is like your platoon sergeant, platoon commander. They have their runners and radio people. So about 35 people. I was in charge of 8 people. Then I had attachments. You have your engineers, snipers, anti-tanks. I think I had 10, 11 people. And over there, we was in a place called Garmsir, which was like the most southerly point in Afghanistan. So the Taliban used to come up through Pakistan into Garmsir, and they call it getting blooded, where they basically have a fight, and then they stay there for a week or 2, and then they'll move on. So we was literally fighting every day over there. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
How long?
They'd normally attack like dawn and dusk, but
Every day.
Every day we'd have attack.
For how long was this going on?
Some of them different. There's one time we got attacked by 30, and there was only 10 of us on the checkpoint, and they coming closer. And that's when a lad in my section called Davo got killed. He got shot in the head. So that day was full on because it was. It's just one of them days, when you just and we were fighting literally for our lives.
So when this is happening, and you are shooting. Do you know what you're shooting at, or are you just shooting? Because I've seen these.
Sometimes you don't, but that day we could see them.
Sometimes are you just firing back at where you
in like known positions? Yeah. You can see because sometimes you can see like we call it signature. So when they fire, like it'll be a dust.
What sort of distance would you say to spitball?
Where they were then on that day?
Yeah.
It was about 100 meters away, 50 meters away.
Jesus, it's close. Then.
Yeah, close.
10 of you, 30 of them.
Yeah.
And how did it end? Do you know how it ended?
So Davo got shot. We got him out of there. I won't go into the detail. Yeah. We see it. Yeah. Well, I went up. He was on the machine gun. The rounds come in. It's hit the gun and ricocheted into his head, and he's fell back. It was just a crazy day. Do you know what I mean? And the lads fucking wicked that day. Like we were fighting, like because we were scared. Do you know what I mean? I was 21, so you can imagine the lads with me were like 18, 19.
That's what I mean. Like, but not to divulge into that. But how do you, if that happens, do you all just carry on and sort of?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. What happened?
Yeah, we got him. We patched him up, sat him up, talking to him. And then obviously no one was on the gun, so that all we could hear was rounds just hitting our building. And I was like, right, we're gonna have to get up. And then so I just remember just taking a deep breath and just jumping up on the gun, and that's when you could see them over the canal. It was all along there's like a field, and they're just all along the walls and stuff, and they were just coming towards us, and then we just had to engage them. And then the QRF came to get Davo out of there. They went. I just remember seeing one of my good mates give him a big thumbs up. I still speak to him now, and he's just like, ooh. And then he sort of got him out of there, and then we just carried on fighting. Must have been about 3-4 hour fighting. Yeah. But then we called in fast air. The Apaches came.
They go straight.
And then we called in artillery as well.
So can you not get that straight away, or do they?
No, because they could be on other missions. They're all over Helmand, so.
I was going to say, why can you not just call in for extra?
Is it just not enough?
Because sometimes there could be an op going on somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So you just don't know. You call it in, and they're like, we ain't got any fast air at the minute. But as soon as there is a casualty, they'll tend to send it. Because we're using Garmsir, it's a 45-minute flight.
Fucking crazy.
Until they know what category the casualty is, they're not going to release because they might have to go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's all.
Who's making that call then?
We radioing it in, telling them what category the casualties are. Like, okay. So you got T1, T2, T3.
And what's that?
And T4. T4's dead. T1's like urgent. T2, and then T3's like a sprained ankle, stuff like that.
So if they are dead, are they more likely to come if he's a very badly injured rather than
if they're dead, they'll just come and collect him.
Yeah.
Like later on. Yeah, we had like a little shelter that we used to put the bodies in.
Yeah. Fucking rough.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you don't really comprehend it. Like you can't. You try to empathise, but you can't unless you've actually been there.
No, yeah.
And then even still, like I'm 25, and I feel like I'm getting there mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
But if I think of myself at 21,
yeah.
Oh, there's no way.
No fucking way.
Yeah, you are. But like I say, the training made you like that. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember in training, one of my sergeants was doing a thing called bayonet training. You get like fresh for a week. And I was like, keep your heads down. And I remember just looking up, boom, got booted in the head. Keep your fucking head down. And there's a reason they're telling you to keep your fucking heads down, because you don't keep your heads down, you're going to get fucking... I mean, even though I did get shot at a later date in the head.
Was that much
That was in the next tour, yeah.
So you did the 6 months there. Was that probably your most flat out fucking at it? Almost
in Garmsir. But then we did other things like, so we was in Garmsir for 3 months. Was it 3 months? Yeah, 12 weeks. And then our platoon got released up to Bastion to go in like what they call quick reaction force, and then you can get deployed anywhere all over Helmand. We was there for 2 days, and then we was flown out to Upper Sangin Valley because the Royal Anglians had a big contact, and I think they had a whole section wiped out. So we went out to help them. We was meant to go out for 24 hours. We ended up out for 4 weeks. Like we didn't have any change of socks, anything like that.
Nice.
Just out. on the ground, just getting replenished in the desert. Do you know what I mean? And we're just fighting every day.
Like they replenish it.
Yeah, replenish it, like water, ammunition and stuff. But then you're just getting like radioed through. Like, we're going up here, you're going to go clear that village. And just go and clear the village.
And what you eating?
Rations are dropping off rations at night and stuff. But you're carrying all your kit as well because you're on foot. We haven't got vehicles. We was on foot, so you've got a lot of kit on you.
The civilians as well, are they getting in the way?
So this is like, so as you walk into a village, the civilians walk out.
So they know it's.
So you know it's about to go off. Like, if there's no one in there, the civilians will stay in there. But as you're walking in and civilians are walking out, like in streams, you're like, right, here we go, boys, it's about to kick off. So it's like you sort of know it's like a combat indicator you're about to get into.
So do you think the training the 6 months of training that you initially did then, how important do you think that was to your success later on? And also, can you take us through a little bit about what that entails? Like, where do people lose out in the training? Where do people get kicked off? What would be a shortcoming for somebody to have that they'd be like, nah, you're not in?
So the 6 months training just gets you ready for the army to join, yeah? But then you've got training. So we went to like Kenya for 6 weeks, training in the heat. You do like 4 weeks in the field and stuff like that. But the training initially in like basic training, it's just weeding out people that aren't going to be team players. Do you know what I mean? And that, because it is dead weight, like you said, it's dead weight. So if you think if he's not fit enough, because sometimes, well, obviously we've been in it, like the lads get blown up, they lose their legs, they can't run. You've got to get them from there to 2Ks away to the helipad. Carrying them. So you're carrying them. If he can't even run a mile and a half in a allotted time to pass the basic test, how's he going to help you carry him, his ammunition, and whatever else whilst you're fighting out of there as well? So you're actually turning around, fighting, making sure.
So is that a lot of the training then? Is it like stamina and
fitness? Fitness. But then you've got to know the drills as well. Like, there's obviously drills, fighting drills, how to get out there. Then you've got to learn you got to pass tests like your basic first aid, how to apply tourniquets, how to stop bleeds. Do you know what I mean?
Your physicality, your mentality, and your will. Then
that's it. Yeah.
And you got to have a good amount of all three. Otherwise, you're just gonna, if you fall short in one, you're not.
That's it. But then you've got to be good on your weapon handling and stuff as well, because we don't want you fucking about with your gun and you drop it, or you turn around and you shoot one of your own. Do you know what I mean? You've got to make sure your safety catch is on all the time. Your weapon's clean, because if your weapon's not clean, you get a stoppage. If you get a stoppage when you're suppressing, we're dead, because if your gun stops, we haven't got the fire. Do you see what I mean? So it's all stuff like that.
Everything, just that roundedness of all the parts, is really, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got to be on the ball.
What was some of the most vigorous training that you can remember then? Physically. Physically. Did you think, was there any points where you thought to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this"?
Or
maybe what? I never
the worst one for you?
I never thought. I used to like it, like in a weird way. Like, I loved the training. Like, it was honking. Like, you was spewing in that, but I used to love it.
Why did you like it?
Just because you just felt wicked. Like, you felt invincible.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline. Yeah. So like we did this one thing in training, in basic training, where you dug a trench. You have to dig it like for 3 days, no sleep. It has to be as deep as the tallest person. So obviously it's me, 6'4", so we had to dig a trench 6'4", and it was about 10 meters long by a meter wide. So just with shovels. If you dig it down after 3 days, you're fucked. Like, I was hallucinating. I was in the middle of I can't remember where it was, but I thought I saw a cruise ship coming towards me, but I'm in the middle of a field. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how like much you're hallucinating.
For fuck's sake.
You do that, and then you've got NBC attacks, so they throw basically CS gas everywhere. You've got to put your gear on, bang, bang, so you get all your stuff on. If you haven't got it on in a certain time,
you're joking.
That's it. There's like, right, get your fucking trenches filled it up, did it back, right, we're casevacing out, we're getting out of here now. So you've got all your NBC, your respirator on. I think we ran about a K with all your kit on, and it's horrible.
How heavy?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Yeah.
So you've got all your Bergen and stuff like that, but it's not the weight of that. It's because you're in a respirator.
Yeah.
So it's obviously restricting your breathing, and then you've got all the NBC suit on, so you're boiling as well. You take that off, you wrap that all up, and then it's like literally, right, follow me, and the PTI off, and you've got to stick with him. And you stick with him for about, I think it was maybe 2 miles, up and down hills, through these woods.
What would you say you've got, like, as a figure, like 20 kilograms on your back, or more or less? Or
Oh, I think you've got about 30, 40 kg. Yeah.
2 of them plates on your back.
Yeah.
Because
you've got all your food. Person. Yeah, you got all your food, your water, your ammunition, your batteries, your radios. So it all soon adds up. Then you've got your body armor, your helmet, your rifle.
Your whole life's on you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally, that's why you need to train so hard for all the worst case scenarios.
That's
really,
it. Yeah.
So So if we go back to where we were, so you've gone to Afghanistan, you've done 6 months there.
Yeah. So on that tour, that was what we call a kinetic tour. Very like there was no IEDs. You know what I mean? So I loved that tour because you're basically taking the fight to them.
IEDs, is that your landmines?
That's where they put like pressure pads in, yeah, with like explosives and stuff like that. But there was none. There was a couple, but they brought that from because that was in Iraq. So they brought that type of warfare from Iraq to obviously Afghanistan at a later date. So the first few tours of Afghan was very kinetic. You was just taking the fight to them. They were attacking you. You go clear villages, stuff like that.
So they were a bit behind in the technology.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But then obviously they
get
very fast. Yeah, they start thinking like, what's better for us because their casualty rate was so high. So now they're thinking, how can we bring that down and how can we increase theirs? And IEDs is perfect for them.
Yeah, it's rough.
But that tour, like I said, was wicked. I enjoyed it. It's like enjoyed it, but like it was what we were trained to do basically. Do you know what I mean? So. Yeah, that tour was eventful. I got a commendation for my bravery on that tour as well, which was cool.
So that was it. I've seen that photo of you with
all my medals.
Medals.
Yeah.
Are they? How many did you have?
I can't remember. I think I've got 6 medals now.
You got a few, haven't you?
Bosnia, there's Afghanistan and Iraq, but then there's I can't remember what there's 2 for Iraq, there's 2 for Bosnia because they're different sorts of tours, and then I can't remember what they were because they changed. Can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. But,
so you'll get 1 for serving.
Yeah.
And then have you? So you got an extra 1 for something that happened in it, or?
No, I didn't get that. You get like a little certificate and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. After it all,
yeah,
is it worth it to you?
Yeah, it is. Do you know what? I was gutted when they pulled out of Afghanistan and you saw how fast the Taliban took back over.
Yeah.
And just like in 3 days they retook the whole place. It was like what?
And they're posting videos running around with RPGs.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much them taking back over. It's like the lads that we lost over there, and the boys that have got like life-changing injuries. There's some lads in prison now for doing stupid stuff since they've come back because mentally they weren't right. There's obviously lads committing suicide. There's lads that have got amputees, that are blind, that are deaf, and all from that tour or them tours over there. And it's like we just pulled out of there. Like, right,
is that psychological damage then? Do you think?
And what do you think's causing the psychological damage the most? Really?
What to the lads?
Yeah,
it's just I think once you come out because you haven't got the. I struggled when I left, and about a year or 2 after I had to see someone, but. It was I think lack of routine. Because if you think from 17 years old, I used to go down, used to get up, they'd tell me what I was on every morning. I'd go, my breakfast would be cooked for me. I'd come back and get in the right kit. Because there's a thing called a daily detail, and it basically tell you what you're on the next day. So for 11 years, I was in the army. Every day I knew what I was on.
Strategically planned,
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're out the army.
It's not planned and you've got free time.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So sorry, you was in for how many years?
11
years.
Yeah.
And is that 6 months at a time?
What, the tours? No. So this tour that we're talking about now, that's my second to last tour. Yeah. And then I did another tour. And then after that, I signed off initially to finish the army. And then, because I'd had enough. But then one of my old sergeants, what was he, my colour sergeant at the time, he was like, look, I'm in London, come to London, we'll put you on your PTI course, which is your physical training instructor, and you can come and run the gym there. So I did that for a few years, and then we were due to go to tour again, and I was like, I'm not going out there again. Like, pushed my luck on the last tour before that. So yeah.
So what influenced your decision then to sort of call it quits and stop? Because obviously you said you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, so that first tour of Afghan was like kinetic and stuff, and then like the second tour, like in the warm up, like the training up to that tour, like I was just like, this is gonna be shit.
Different.
Like, because there's IEDs everywhere. You have metal detectors to clear what we call a lane, like your bomber lane. It's called op bomber, which is basically where you clear out. And when you find an IED, you either mark it and move around it, or you call in EOD and they'll come and locate it. They'll either diffuse it or they'll detonate it. But if you can imagine, you're patrolling along, you find one, EOD, you all move back, they come in, like blow it up, and you go again. Do you know what I mean? It can be such a long process just to get even 100 meters.
So if that was to blow, then what's the blast radius or something like that?
Well, you don't know how big it is, do you? So you'll just sit down in cover and just.
And what would you see to notice one?
It's just the noise,
detecting it.
the awesome disturbance on the ground. But a lot of the times, what they do is they'll dig it in, then they'll pour water over it, and it'll just bake it solid. And then obviously it's just that pressure, so you don't even know it's been disturbed. You know what I mean? So
it's like in Cambodia, they had hundreds of thousands of them put there from the Vietnamese war, like that just landed
all
over.
the mines,
And so many of their people have just had their limbs blown off.
It's
fucking
like
mad,
legacy mines, aren't they? That's what they call them. There used to be some in Bosnia actually, legacy mines.
Yeah,
you'd see them they'd be like just spray paint on the walls or on the houses, and you'd know, right, that field behind there's got mines in it and stuff like that. So
do not enter.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. How do they detonate then? Is it like pressure plates?
Yeah, pressure plates basically. Well, there's different types. So you've got pressure plates. So you've got VOs, victim operated, or you've got like, I forget what the other one's called, where they operate it. So they'll basically run a wire, and sometimes they run wire like 800 meters. It's hard hitting the floor. This is how much they go into like, and then they'll just be sat there, and they'll come past the marker, and as it comes past the marker, they'll click the clicker, boom, and it'll just go off. But because they're 800 meters away, you're looking in the vicinity, and they're miles away, and they've gone.
Mate, it's so much safer for them as well, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I mean. So it was a lot safer for them.
It just gets to the point where it's probably not worth it for you doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So that last tour, obviously, in the warm up to it, like you're a bit like a bit dubious of it, and then we was in, I forget what it was called, just north of Lashkar, checkpoint 1, I think, and one of the lads who was in my section in the first tour, he got blown up. Jamie James, he got killed, and he was like legs, arms completely gone. That's how big the blast was. And I just remember we got him into the Mastiff, because I was in a different section to him then. We was in the FSG, Fire Support Group. I remember opening the back of the door and just pulling him in, and I was just like, wow, do you know what I mean? Like, this is, because the IEDs were just getting bigger and bigger, and it was just nuts. No, we got him back, but obviously, you sort of knew he was dead, do you know what I mean? Bless him. But he was only young as well. He must have been a couple of years younger than me. So yeah, it's crazy. But then also on that tour, I got shot in the head as well by a sniper. Yeah,
let's go into that.
That was like one of the main things where I was just like, I've had enough of this sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
So how did that happen? And did you know it was coming, or
no? So basically, we went out. It's just like we used to go out on these routine patrols, and we were just clearing south of the checkpoint. And we was in the fire support group, so you had like what they call mastiffs, and in the mastiff, on top of the mastiffs, you had like 50 cal machine guns, grenade machine guns, and then you have like your gun group inside. I was in charge of the gun group. You had your snipers and your anti-tanks. So the anti-tanks were back on the checkpoint, because they have all like the heat-seeking, like what are they called? Javelins, heat-seeking missiles, like anti-tank missiles, but they obviously you can see like into the field.
Like that,
yeah, they go up and come down. Yeah. Then you have the snipers up there as well, because they're basically overlooking. And then we was on another high vantage point overlooking, and then like the platoon was just going in, clearing, just basically, what do we used to call them? Clearance patrol. Just going out doing a clearance patrol, and then they come back in. It's basically just to show that you're on the ground, basically. And yeah, we were out on the high ground. We was overlooking. They'd been out and done the clearance patrol. Just coming back in, and I was behind the machine gun, so literally just my head above it. And I only thought about this afterwards, but just before I'd been shot, I had a above my head, which is obviously a round. And what he's doing he's obviously shooting, firing at something behind me or near me, and he's looking at where splash is. And they're basically what they do, call it, they're zeroing in, and then he would have aimed on me, next shot, dropped me. So good shot, very good shot.
In your helmet?
Yeah, into my helmet, yeah, here.
Did it, so just bounce straight off?
No, it's in my helmet. I should have brought my helmet, shouldn't I? What the fuck, man? How have I not brought my helmet?
It's all right.
Awesome thing, though, that you've still got that.
Yeah, it's still got the round still in it. The actual bullet's still in it.
And so how close, did it go into your head?
Yeah, just nicked my head.
And what gun was it, do you think?
I don't know. It was a sniper rifle. He must have been about 400 meters away, 500 meters.
How big was the round?
7.62. Yeah, so like you've obviously got your 7.62 rounds, and you got the tip of it about that big.
What? So if it was a couple of inches further down, it could have got you in the face?
Well, if you look at the helmet, the way the helmet's made, obviously it's like Kevlar and it's folded, and where it's there, it's in a fold, so it's in the thick bit of the helmet. Either side of that fold, it'd have gone straight through. Yeah, so lucky. Or if I'd just done that, or a fly landed on me, or a sneeze, anything, it would have been.
Literally anything.
Oh yeah, it'd have been end.
Yeah. Situation.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I can't even comprehend it.
Yeah, that's like saying get out.
So what was your thoughts then? What was your thoughts?
So obviously I got put on my arse.
Thoughts, that fucking hurt.
And like,
Ow.
like I've done boxing and stuff before, and I've never been like jelly legs, but I stood up off that and I was like, whoa. And then all of a sudden they started attacking us, so we had to fight out of there. And I just remember getting back to the checkpoint, and as I got back, like, I was obviously full of adrenaline, but then that started to wear down, and I remember just taking my helmet off, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I just sat on the floor, and I was like, and then obviously my neck was in tatters, and I had the worst headache.
Did that throw your head back?
Oh yeah, it put me right back, so it's like snapped my neck back. I had like concussion and whiplash.
Did you realise what had happened then?
I knew I'd been shot, yeah, because I've heard it. I've seen it and heard it before, so yeah, I knew I'd been shot. Because I sat down, and the lad said I went down, but then I was like, bang, flicked my helmet off, and I was like, fuck, like that oxide neutrino, I've been shot. And I was like, lads, has it gone in? Because I've seen people that have been shot before, and they've shot their, like, there's a few lads where they've been shot and the top of their heads are missing, bless them, and they're still alive and they survived.
The adrenaline keeps you up for a bit, doesn't it?
And I was like, have you been shot? I was like, has it got in? I was checking my head like that, and there's like, you've been shot, and because obviously where it nicked me, I was bleeding. I was like, has it gone in? And one of the lads was like, no, it ain't gone in. And I was like, fucking hell. I just thought it ricocheted. And then when I got back and I had a look, the actual round was still in the helmet.
Did you get sent straight back, or did you carry on with them?
No, so then I got took from that checkpoint back to the main fob, and then by that time I was like really in a lot of pain in that. And so then Black Hawk came and got me, like the Americans came and got me, took me back to Bastion, yeah. So,
yeah, you gotta be okay, man.
Yeah, they were wicked though. They got put straight in on like a CT scan and that. Like over there, the hospitals were unbelievable. Like the best.
What, they built hospitals in there?
Yeah, Bastion Hospital. Like they said it was the best hospital for like trauma in the whole world, because obviously they're dealing with it daily, especially with the IEDs and stuff like that. So
did they have like sort of I don't know if it's the right word, but like mental coaches in there?
Nothing
as well?
there. So back then it wasn't really thought of. Okay. There was a thing called, what was it? Trauma Risk Management, in something management, and it was basically an officer came out to me. He was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Sound."
There's your mental health
at the time, and that was them ticking a box. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still to this day a bit disappointed with the army, like how they've left people, because there's still a lot of people that are struggling. Like a lot of my mates are struggling. And you don't get any help.
So you say the aftercare is not the best?
Oh, shit.
It's really funny you say that, because we had a lad on here the other week from Love Island, and he was saying he's still getting messages from them saying how are you? Obviously, Love Island's very different to the army, but it's to them.
I've never had a message from the army.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Never had nothing. No check-in. The lads check in with you.
Yeah.
But like, there's nothing from the army. Or you'll speak to like something like combat stress, and they might check in on you. But then again, combat stress, because they're so stacked out, it's hard to get seen by them, so you have to take it on yourself really to seek help.
I bet it sort of makes you feel just like a pawn in the game, really.
Yeah, a little bit. You did, like when you came back. Yeah, you did a bit. It was just disappointing. Do you know what I mean? Because like obviously the effort that you put in. Because when you're in, you give everything. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you don't even know what the fuck you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you're just doing it because it's your job. You signed up. You're serving your country. And I'm like one of the most patriotic people you'd have. Like I love my country, and I'm so proud that I've served. But then sometimes you just be like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
So the training they put you through though at the start.
Yeah.
They're weaning out the people that are going to be mentally weak, aren't they? So
Yeah,
they're expecting the people that are in there, like yourself, who have been shot in the head, to not be mentally weak.
Yeah,
so they're thinking, oh, we don't need to support these people because they're sound.
Yeah.
But realistically, you're still all human at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think back then it was a lot more like that. I think now there's a lot more like mental health. There is a lot more mental health in the army, like helping people out. But when I was in, it was nothing really.
Yeah, you just you put a tough front on.
So yeah, of course. And then like when you was in the army, like even if you was injured, you never wanted to go sick, because someone would be like, "You're fucking bluffing it. What's up with you?
Yeah,
you soft, this and that."
Yeah, it shows weakness, doesn't it? I suppose. Yeah,
shows weakness. So you didn't want to do it.
Do you think the country now is sort of lessened to from where it was?
What, the army?
As in, like the country as a whole and all the patriocy and everything like that. Because I think now the country's sort of slowly slipping into the like people aren't as for it in a way.
Yeah, I don't know.
People are softer, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot like. So I think social media.
Yeah.
Because it's like anything. There could be propaganda. There could be anything. Like you don't know what's true half the time. I don't watch the news anymore because it's just like you don't know what's
all they do is try to get you down.
Yeah.
Stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So like I literally I don't watch the news or anything like that. But like I don't know. From the people I know, obviously people are still proud to be British or English or whatever. So, but yeah, it's not like it used to be, is it?
No, the government seems.
But yeah, you can't trust them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It seems very, very iffy at the minute.
It's all too corporate, isn't it? And when,
of course.
When money's involved, it's like, what's the motive here?
Everything's money, isn't it? Yeah, money driven.
Yeah. One thing I'm really interested in, though, obviously, in the last, I don't know, I want to say 20 years, it's been like we've had like a tech boom, haven't we? So tech has gone from like 0 to 100. So I can imagine when you started, there wasn't that much tech involved in the army, but did you see whilst you were there, or wasn't it so much whilst you were there as it happened recently? Has there been, how has tech helped the army? Is it all like automated now? Do you have like turrets that are like looking?
Well, yeah. Well, when we first joined, there was none of that. Like there was no drones or anything, and then obviously drones got involved
because that's safer for
yeah.
I assume, then.
And then obviously, like I said, the Mastiffs and that, you did start having like vehicles with like the automated guns on top. But then they'd break down now and again, so you have to get up there anyway. Do you know what I mean? But the tech did help. But like when I first went to Iraq, the equipment was awful. You had a body armor which just had a little plate across your heart here, nothing protecting here. You had a little bit on your back. But then when you went to Afghanistan, they started having the big proper plates and stuff like that. But then when I got shot, I had the older helmet because I found it more comfortable than the new one. And everyone was like, "What? Does this new one work?" Because the old one was so. Do you know what I mean? So like, I just preferred using the older helmet. So
yeah. Was there any other like sort of different ways of warfare they'd use? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like biological sort of things, like poison in the water,
suicide bombers.
Suicide bombers.
Suicide bombers. So they used to have kids sometimes run out with wheelbarrows full of explosives,
Jesus.
shit like that. Yeah,
that is savage.
On the first tour, that happened. Or someone jumped on one of the lads' trucks. So we used to have Wimics, which is like the old Defenders, with all the doors and roofs cut off, and it's just literally a shell, and you'd have like your gun mounted on top like a chassis and a roll bar, and that was it. You go, and one of where a suicide bomber jumped on the front of there, and one of my good mates, Jack, saved one of our mates' lives. Actually, he got shrapnel in the neck, ruptured his artery, and he basically plugged it and drove him out of there, sort of thing. Yeah.
So in that event, you're gonna have to shoot a kid. Is that what you're gonna?
You don't know it though, do you? Until he's detonated half the time. Unless you tell them to stop and they keep going, but then sometimes
because they've got it all sort of hidden.
Just in wheelbarrows and stuff like that.
I see.
So they're just like pushing a wheelbarrow along. You don't know what's in it.
You don't know what's in it. Yeah, or they could just walk next to you and detonate themselves. You don't know what it is.
It's fucking crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's not even. Yes, you don't even know how to react to things like that. No, really, like you laughing just then, it's like the least funniest thing, but you don't even know how to react.
Well, when we used to get, I used to laugh when I used to get shot at.
Yeah.
Until it like got really, really serious. The first shot, you'd be like, "Fucking hell, that's close." It's like laughing is just a.
Yeah, because you don't know. Your brain probably knows like this is how I have to react. Otherwise, it's going to get too much for you.
Yeah.
It's like how, David Goggins. What you're saying earlier sort of made me think of that. Like you've sort of convinced your brain to use that sort of like stress and pain to push you forward to get through it.
Well,
you know that you're going to get rewarded at the end of it, so you're harnessing all of that sort of energy to push you to the right direction.
Well, I speak to my mate, my best mate Jack. He's from the army. We speak every day, and we used to talk about it the other day, like the mental resilience we used to have in the army. Like you just go out and do anything, you didn't care. Like someone would say, "Go and run a marathon tomorrow." Yeah, no problem. You just go smash it out. You knew you was physically fit, mentally tough. You'd say, "Fuck it, I'll do it with weight on my back." Like I used to do a lot of charity work. I've ran the 10K with a fridge on my back, and
fucking hell.
I did it in like 55 minutes, and that was when I was in the army because I knew I had the mental resilience to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. If I tried it now, I'd probably break my back and be like. Ah.
People say though, like your body's so much stronger than your mind.
Your body gives up before your mind.
Yeah, so you can
it's
just
your mind telling you no.
Push yourself so much further if you've got obviously like the mental resilience you had. It'd be amazing to see the things you can actually do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that is impressive.
What was a couple of other things that really had your adrenaline going? Do you remember any specific points other than being shot in the fucking head?
Just every day, man. Like
really
patrols.
That much,
I remember my first patrol on the first tour of Afghan, and there was me and a guy called Coops, and I've known him since I joined as well. Like I still speak to him now, and excuse me. And we just sort of. I remember him looking at me, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like you just because it was your first patrol. You know what I mean? You fucking. Shitting yourself, you're looking around and you're about to go in this compound and you're just like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, just anything, like obviously when you see people get hit and shot or blown up or killed, your adrenaline's through the roof. Do you know what I mean? But just even like a round hit pinging off something next to you, like your adrenaline straight away. Yeah.
I can imagine it's a lot, and that's probably why I have to train so hard, because I bet if you've dropped us into that situation, fair enough, like all the physicality of it, but if you pump my body with that much adrenaline, I'd be fucking useless for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get used to that coming in and out and in and out.
Yeah,
most people just wouldn't even be able to
because like I said, when we did QRF and we got crashed out to help the Royal Anglians, they was telling us where we was going on the net, on the radio was like sound, and then the guy would turn around, he'd be like 5 minutes. So then you'd all be sat like on the back of the thing, and the thing would come, the tail of the Chinook would come down, he'd be sat on the gun, and as he's flying in, there's just fucking tracer flying everywhere, like rounds, and then you just be running out into it and getting in. They just let you out near like a ridge or something, you just jump out, the Chinook wouldn't even be landed yet, it'd be a couple of meters off the floor, and then running off, do you know what I mean? Your adrenaline's flying, because you're running into contact and stuff like that.
But the time flew, didn't it? Because your adrenaline's just like
at the time,
constantly.
Days feel like half an hour.
But then like you'd be fighting, and then you'd stop, and then it'd be next minute it's 10 o'clock at night, and you're laying under the stars, and there's no light pollution, and you can just see everything. You can see the Milky Way and that, and you just be like, oh, this is beautiful, like just chatting with your mates, and you wouldn't believe that you've been fighting. Like,
Afghanistan's ace, isn't it?
You wouldn't believe you've been fighting. Do you know what I mean? So it is just so up and down, the whole experience.
What's the bridge between you being out fighting and then being under the stars? Like, have you said, right, we're going to call it a day now, or
it just dies down normally? Like, no one's firing back at you. You'll sit out maybe for an hour. You'll have patrols. You'll have
you still got BDIs though, haven't you?
You've got stag positions up, so you're not just stopped. It'd be like what happens is you normally patrol, you'll fight, it'll die down. You can hear their radio as well, so you can hear what they're doing. They normally say like, right, get out of here. They'll get out of here or whatever.
Translator.
Yeah. You have a translator telling you what they're saying. Although sometimes you heard English people on their radios.
So they've
just obviously come over from England fighting for the Taliban. Yeah.
You see, you think that doesn't happen, but obviously.
Oh yeah, of course it does. Yeah. So we heard like a few accents over there and that, and we was just like, wow. Right. Yeah. So, but then you would obviously that'd all finish, and then you'd have like your stag points normally on all four corners of so one section will take each. You know, like I talked about the section, you've got 3 sections to take each corner, and then the platoon headquarters will have the other corner. So you'll have eyes all around. And then you just take it on turns going stag. You normally do an hour each throughout the night, or 2 hours overlapping. So you do an hour with different people, and then you get about 6-7 hours sleep.
It's very mountainous, isn't it, Afghanistan? So you've got like majority of the places in regions.
Yeah,
like
we was in
valleys.
the green zone. So you'd normally go to the edge of the green zone. So you're like slightly on up a hill, because the Taliban will always be in the green zone. They'd never really go out into the desert because that's always exposed. So you'd probably go to the edge of the green zone so you can overlook. So you've got 360 cover, but they're normally going to come from that direction. You know what I mean? So, but then like when you're out there, you're just chilling. But it's so crazy because obviously you're on the high ground and you'll be looking and you can see for miles, and you can just see explosions and tracer in the distance. You know, other people are fighting over there, and you're just like, it's just crazy.
So obviously you came out, you spoke to someone, you had a bit of therapy. Yeah. How did that help you deal with it? Was it a big?
Yeah. So like, I did my last tour. I went to London as a physical training instructor, then decided to call it because I had kids now, and my daughter and my eldest son. And then I came out and I was a personal trainer at a gym in Lincoln, which was all right. I had loads of clients and that, and started enjoying it. But then about a year or 2 into that, I just got really anxious. And the thing that made me want to see someone is one day I was just making my kids cereal, and my eldest, he's picked up his bowl and he's just turned around. You know, when you turn around, sometimes you spill milk. And I was like, what the fuck? Just lost my mind over something so trivial. And he so scared, bless him. And I hate myself to this day for it. Do you know what I mean? And he ran out, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe you just over a bowl of cereal. And
but it's not you.
Yeah. But I was like, I need to see someone, because I was always a bit too proud to even, do you know what I mean? I thought, I'll be all right. And another weird thing is, I know this will sound weird, I always thought to myself, I don't want to forget what I've been through or what it felt like. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel that's a big part of me, what I've done. And sometimes I used to feel like therapy, but it doesn't stop that anyway.
It's not forgetting, it's more coming to terms with it and accepting it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
My girlfriend, she's done it for quite a while, a few years. Well, she did it for quite a few years. She's very recently stopped. She's in a much better place now.
Yeah,
but when she describes it to me, she's like, so many people would benefit from it, and especially men, but the majority of men are just far too proud to
Can't
say,
admit it. That they
can't
need
admit
help.
it. Like there's so many things where I've said, "Oh, I'm this is this."
It's mad.
She'll go. You need to just go see
it's
someone. They'll
so
help you
mad.
deal with it.
Yeah, it's
But
so mad because I was there's a guy. So when I used to come back from the army, sometimes I used to do like little labouring jobs, and there's a brickie that I knew called Carl. He's the guy who does this thing called IEMT, eye movement therapy, or independent eye movement therapy, something like that.
Rapid eye.
A little bit, but it don't go so quick. He does it right. It's so strange, right? But he used to say, "Look, Ian, I do this.
Yeah.
If you're ever struggling, I'm like, Carl, I'm fine. Like, fucking hell, mate, chill out." And he used to say it to me, not in a like bothering way. We'd have a few pints, and he'd always just pull me to one side. Are you all right? But I never used to appreciate it at the time. He was just checking on me. Do you know what I mean? But I used to be like, "Mate, I'm sound," and I just go off and have a few drinks. Anyway, this time I was struggling. And I'd just done that to my son. I remember messaging him straight away. Carl, I was like, "Carl, I could do with seeing you, blah, blah." And he was like, "Right, I'll come and see you at the gym," when I worked at the gym. I was like, "Sound." So he came down, he says, "Look, I just want to see that it works first. I just want to see that you can follow like my finger, what I'm doing." So he did it and I could follow it. It's just this weird pattern, just like that. He's like, "Yeah, that's sound. Let's book you in." So he booked me in. He says you could take anything from like an hour up to 5 hours, but we'll do it in one session. We'll do it. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sound, no worries." So he came in. I've seen my last client. He was in the gym. It must have been about 8 at night, and we didn't get finished till like 11:30. And he just basically did this thing with me, and you basically just relive how you're feeling.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, it was just such a strange feeling because it just felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. And the thing that I was dealing with wasn't what actually happened. It was the way I'd reacted to it, because you always perceive yourself to react to something. So like, for instance, it was when Davo got killed. I was speaking to the lads, and I was just like, I wasn't speaking to him, I was shouting them, "Right, come on, let's fucking go," like really on him. But we had to be, because we were being attacked by 30 Taliban, do you know what I mean? But I was proper on, "Right, get up, fucking let's go," swearing at him and everything. And because I relived it, and I remember saying to him when I was reliving it, I was like, "I can't believe I'm talking to him like this," because they were your mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that night I rang a couple of them and I was like, "Lads, I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you." They was like, "Ian, what the fuck are you on about?" Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, "But that's what's really bothering me, is how I reacted to the situation rather than the actual situation."
So in that year when you left and you thought everything was sound,
do
you think you were in your head just sort of almost like putting like a band-aid over it and just trying to also like sweep it under the rug, and it like didn't really happen, and let's just try and move on? And then when you did it head on and you did it with the therapist,
you address it.
Then you addressed the situation, and that made you feel better, or?
Yeah, I don't think I was like sweeping it under the carpet. I just didn't realise.
You wasn't aware of it.
Just wasn't aware of it. Like, but then I spoke to my mum, and she was like, "Yeah, you getting a bit snappy," like, but she'd never say anything to me. I think because she maybe didn't want me to snap. Do you know what I mean? And like, I was very much. I remember having an argument with my sister once, and it was just like, we never argued, not since we were younger. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, it was getting a bit full on.
More signals are popping up, and you thought something needs to be addressed.
And it was like, so I used to drink. I'd still drink now, but I don't drink half as much. Like, I used to get levered. Like, I used to drink like 10, 15 pints and not remember the night. Now I'll have a few. I'll do it occasionally, like Remembrance Sunday. I always go out with the boys and we have a fucking skinful. It's wicked. Because with the lads. But I'll have a few beers and then I'll start reining it in a bit. You know what I mean? Like, whereas I used to get really fucking levered.
It's having a good relationship with them sort of things.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Because you can use it to benefit you, or you can use it just to abuse yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the right thing. But, so then after you've come out of that, you're in a mental good place.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you had a better point to like sort of push yourself to do other things? Because now you manage your own dry lining?
I've got my own dry lining company. So I was doing the PTing, and then I tell you what, with the PTing, I stopped enjoying it because you're like a therapist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because people come to you after work, "Oh, I've had such a shit day," and they're telling you. I'd go home and I'd be like, "Fucking hell." Or Susan will be telling you that Derek's been cheating on. "Oh, fucking hell, Derek." You get home and you're all pissed off with Derek, and it's nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? So I just sort of was like, "Oh, I've had enough of this." So then I spoke to my mate who I'm in business with now. He taught me how to dry line, and then we've set up a dry lining and plastering company, and we're in the process of setting up another company now as well. So yeah, it definitely set me on my way.
And the skills you learned from the army, do they come into play a lot?
Oh yeah, 100%. Even like with my kids, like I won't say I'm strict, but I'm like, I expect the minimum. You pay people respect.
The discipline.
Discipline. You make your bed in the morning. You open your curtains. You take the bowls out of your room. Like, and if you don't, you get your phone taken off you and you get grounded. Like, I'm very much like, do you know what I mean? But they're good for it.
Benefit them.
Yeah, if someone asks you how you are, you say you tell them how you are, and you ask them how they are. Like basic manners. Because you see a lot of kids, you'll say, "All right, mate, how you doing?" "Yeah, I'm good," and then they'll walk off, and I think that's so rude.
Yeah.
But like even my 8-year-old, when he was 5, 6, he'd ask you how you were, and people are like, "Whoa, what?" Like, do you know what I mean? I just think, yeah, the standards in the army for me, and like even like just people turn up late, grates on me, but it's not as bad as I used to be.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, then, what sort of advice would you give somebody who's wanting to go down that sort of road through the army? Maybe they thought they're not ready for it mentally or physically. What do you say?
Ask people for advice. Like, I have no end of people messaging me, like, and I'll say to them, "Look, do you really want to do it? Because obviously it's tough, but do research as well." Like, I did no research, and I went like balls into the infantry. Like, there's so many different avenues you can go in the army. Like, if my kids said they want to do it, I might be a little bit apprehensive. If they said they wanted to go in the infantry, I don't think I'd like them to do that, just because of what I've been through. And like, there's certain other avenues, but it's not just the army, it's all the forces, but it sets you up. Like, I've got a half pension now, so in a few years I'll get money. Like, if you do your full 22, like some of my mates are, they're going to get what they call a handshake, where they get tax-free cash, like, bonus, and then they get paid a pension for the rest of their life. So you do get there are these little things, but then for me, the best thing that happened for me, obviously, is how it's made me as a person, but also the people that I've met. Like, they're brothers for life. Like, some of my best mates from the army, and it's wicked.
Molded you and got you a solid.
Oh yeah, like you could. I know I could bring a couple of them now. Like, if I was struggling, they'd be there. Do you know what I mean? They're the sort of people you want to be.
It's a proper like brotherhood.
Yeah, 100%. Because they've seen the best of you and they've seen the worst of you as well. Do you know what I mean? So when you go into them places, and because they're the shoulders you cry on, they're the people that you hug, they're the people that hug you when you need it.
Seen you at your worst.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Like, I definitely would. Like, it made me the person I am today. It's also made me a lot more chilled, if that makes sense, because I've been to them sort of places. Like, you know, when you see someone get upset about something, I'm like, you have no idea. Like, come on, like, you're getting upset because you've lost your phone, or you've done, it doesn't matter.
Gives you a lot bigger perspective.
Yeah, perspective's massive. And then I try and pass that on to like people that I know as well, and especially my kids. Like, it's not the be all and end all. Like, there's so much more to life. There's so much more to just, do you know what I mean? Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I've not been able to do this." Don't worry about it. Like,
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world, because there's a lot of people that are worse off than you. So that's a good thing that the army's taught me.
Sick.
Love it. Good one to end on there.
Yeah,
man. Amazing.
Cheers,
Thank you very much, mate.
No worries. Enjoyed that.